So let's just keep it very informal. Anytime you have questions, just jump in, no? But maybe just to put things into context, maybe maybe Anara, you can just summarize briefly the outcome of your strat plan that you had the other day. I mean, I think Louis and Renzo were not there. So maybe you can just give a quick summary of, I mean, I saw the materials, but maybe you could just summarize what you guys did and, what you
Yeah,
plan to do. Yeah.
right. So basically, we've decided to kind of match what our goals are to how much time and level of commitment our club actually has. So we're
Mm-mm.
thinking of focusing mostly on fellowship, getting a social media up and running, and doing one health caravan next.
Doing what?
Of
One
like
bus caravan. Mm-hmm.
one health caravan next year, like one just like we did this
Yeah. Mm-mm.
year, like a sort of like a wow clinic or a the breast cancer screening. So either or,
Mm-mm.
maybe even at F best to make
Mm-mm.
things even more streamlined because then we
Yeah.
already know who's going to be participating in the week before school starts.
Right, right. Okay, and the beauty of it is that whoever you get, whether it's the cancer bus or whether it's the wow bus, there's really not much effort. I mean, there's effort for us to invite and have people
Mm-hmm.
attend, but on the day itself, it pretty much runs on itself. It's not like the
Yeah.
other service projects that we ourselves are the ones doing the work, no? So that's why that makes
Yeah.
it very attractive for a service project. Okay, so I'll just go through the slides right now. As I said, anytime, just stop me. Okay, or ask any questions. Yeah, okay. So, so the reason why I put this slide here is really just to, it's just to let you know that, being involved in Rotary is, it's really at your own pace, no? So, the reason why I showed this here is to just emphasize that, I come from a family of Rotarians. My dad has been a Rotarian, for 53 years. He was actually, in fact, a director of Rotary International worldwide. But that still wasn't enough for me to join. I had different priorities and things like that. So I only became a Rotarian 7 years ago, which is obviously very, very late. I mean, if you compare that with the other Rotarians now from other clubs, they joined in their 20s, 30s, 40s, no? So I guess they got hit by the bug, no? So I'd like to think that you guys are here because you also got hit by the bug in some way. No, so life happens, work happens, and people get married, people give birth. But I guess one constant there has been Rotary for a lot of people. So you just have to pace yourself, no? And timing is obviously important. Okay, so this is a typical journey that we have for learning. We go through these different stages, but we kind of jumped past one and two, and they were now actually going three and four. No, so today we'll just be focusing on your Rotary journey and a little bit more about satellite clubs vis-a-vis the parent clubs, because I'm not sure if that was fully discussed during the strat plan. No, so I thought that it would be good to just have a framework of what that could be. Although at the end of the day, it depends on what you guys want and what the club, the main club wants, no? Okay, so here, so we said here that basically Rotary is like, I don't know how many years old now, 1914. And at the end of the day, it's really the impact and that we're gonna be measured by, So that hasn't changed. This was in 1914, and now if you look at the Rotary's action plan, it's the same. It wants to create impact. It wants to change lives. It wants to transform lives, and things like that. No. Um. Okay, so we know this now. We're in the business of doing good in the world, and what better thing to do but that, right? But at the same time, having fun with friends, and meeting other people, meeting people from other countries. So, what I hope you'd get out of this session today is for you to appreciate all the things that Rotary offers, which you might not readily see at this time, no? So this is basically the action plan. I think you went through this exercise with Leah. with the action plan. I'm assuming that's what you did in the strat plan, where the emphasis of Rotary is it wants to create impact, it wants to widen its reach, it wants to make sure it engages everybody, not just the members, but also the donors, the sponsors, the community that we help, and that we can also adapt, to changing environment and to even the way we do things, no? So, so if you look at Rotary's membership, you'll probably hear references to 1.4 million. The 1.4 million really includes the Rotaractors, no? Which in most countries really is actually up to 30 years old only. That's actually how Rotaract was until 2 years ago when they said, sayang naman, we're parang losing a lot of Rotaractors because they graduated from the program at 30. So we're losing them because they're graduated from Rotaract and yet they're not joining Rotary yet. No, so that's why there was that gap. So they said, why don't we lift the ceiling on Rotaract, no, and say, okay, you can be beyond 30, no. So that's the reason why we have our public school teachers as our Rotaractors, no. But for other clubs, no, especially the clubs with very strong Rotaractors, no, they invariably want to end up being Rotarians, no? Now, you guys are satellite clubs, so you're not even a Rotaractor. You're really a full-blood member of Rotary right now, no? So I'll explain that a little bit later on. Okay, so this is just big numbers. We're almost 30,000 in the Philippines, almost 1,000 clubs, no, 30,000 members in 1,000 clubs. And in the Philippines, we're about 36% women, which is higher already than the worldwide average, which is just 26%. So Rotary is happy that they went up from 25 to 26%. But in the Philippines, we're already at 36%. Now, looking now at our district, which is 3830. Okay, I'm missing a slide here there. So looking now at just our district, which is 3830, we are actually already 41% women. And we are the second nationwide in terms of percentage of women to total, no? So we're better. We're doing better than the others. However, there are still some clubs. I think there's about 12 clubs that are still 100% men. And you know who that is, right? One of them is Makati Rotary, our mother club. There are a couple of clubs in Makati. Rotary Club of Alabang, has also been solid all-male club. Until recently, they also formed a satellite club. They're the only one so far this year that formed a satellite club. But what did they do? They put the women in their satellite club. They put the wives, because apparently in the Rotary Club of Alabang, they have a lot of foreigners, they have a lot of expats there. So these wives were actually a member of they had their own organization a couple of years ago, but that organization kind of closed down. So now they were looking for a home, a home or a legal vehicle under which they could do their projects. And so lo and behold, perfect, they created a satellite club for these women, their spouses. So it's like the best of both worlds, they're beside their husbands, but at the same time, they're more than just an aunt. You know the term Rotary aunt, right? The traditional Rotary is that if the husband is the Rotarian, the wife is what they call a Rotary aunt, which I think to me now sounds like really so, but so in their case, they're not Rotary aunts anymore. They are Rotarians. So that's the interesting fact about Rotary Club of Alabang. And Makati West did the same thing. I mean, I think you got exposed to Makati West because of the recent golf tournament. They're also 100% men. And if you see them, they're so, they're one whole table. There's it's really very, all the dirty jokes. It's such a male thing, However, they also formed a satellite club of their scholars. They had scholars from University of Makati. So what they did is that they selected from them and formed a satellite club with those young women as their members. Okay, so this is basically it. So as far as we're concerned, Rotaract in the country is about more than 1,000 people. And of course, as expected, they're obviously most of them below 40 years old, and also they're better than 50% gender parity already. Okay, so we all know about polio, right? So I don't know if are you guys aware that the polio initiative of Rotary Worldwide actually began in the Philippines? So it was actually here because at that time, somebody from the board of Rotary said, let's stop doing these small projects. I want to have a big, impactful project, like worldwide project. And luckily, there was a Filipino who was a director of RI at that time, and he was a doctor, and he said, I'd like to propose that the Philippines be your first project, first big project, and I would suggest a polio immunization program. And just for you to put into context, polio at that time was like COVID 2 years ago. People were scared to get vaccinated. And people didn't want to get close to people that had polio. So parang if they swam in this pool, nobody wants to swim in that pool anymore. So there was so much stigma around it that that Elvis Presley even came out on the radio and said, parang like our artistas who came out during COVID. So he came out and said, why don't you go out and get your polio vaccine and all that stuff. So anyway, polio was the thing of the day at that time. And so this president is so the board of Rotary International at that time agreed to that proposal of that Filipino, and the first immunization was here in the Philippines. And I remember it was just coincidental that my dad was the district governor at that time, and so he went to Malacanang. He had to talk to the first lady Imelda and ask her permission to get 6 million Filipinos injected or immunized, no? So you probably wonder that at that time, compared to now, there's only two countries left that are not yet polio free. And but then you're probably wondering, why is Rotary continuing to support polio? They're asked for polio donations, and all that stuff. It's because they said if you stop immunizing for polio, that it will come back again, and it will hit about 200,000 children around the world every year. So that's the reason why Rotary continues with that. And then so if polio is the primary external priority of Rotary, these are the 6 areas of focus naman that they have. You're kind of familiar with this already, right? Do I have to go through this and explain, or are you more or less comfortable or familiar with this na? You guys have any question about this slide?
Maybe you could um educate us about the areas our club focuses most on.
Yeah. Okay. So by definition, our club focuses on education because when our club was born, there were four founders of our club. It was basically Carol as the CP and the only Rotarian at the time, myself, Rina Lopez, and Ravi Daryanani. So we four were the initial founders, no? And we were all what is common among us is that we were all Lasal, no? But we were also friends in other ways, no? So that's kind of how it started. And because Rina was in education, it was a natural thing for us to do education. And Carol, one of the reasons why she left her previous club was because she wanted to do something on cancer, but that club was not really had other priorities, no? And that's okay. That's fine. That's their focus. But she really wanted cancer. So that is why when the club was formed, parang on day one, we really wanted to work on cancer and we wanted to work on education. And so because of that, our first three global grants, we're very lucky. We're only 7 years old and we already have six or five
Nice.
global grants, no? And so our first three global grants were about cancer and about education, no? The cancer is the cancer bus, which you've all seen already. And the third grant, which is for education, was to create and produce videos for teachers because we are very weak in reading and very weak in math. And the teachers needed training on how to teach, number one. And number two, they needed the training materials. No, they needed the video materials because otherwise they would just be teaching, the old way, with the books and everything. So what that grant did is that the entire Santa Rosa has 18 schools, no, in Laguna. They have 18 schools, and we actually created videos and taught the teachers in these 18 schools. So that was the Global Grant for Education. So actually, one thing I was just telling the group is that we probably should go back there because sayang naman, our grant was 85,000 and we haven't had any touch points with them since that time, no? So that's what we want to do. So our focus has always historically been disease and basic education. And then peace building to the lesser extent in the last few years because of COVID. There was a lot of deaths, so they wanted grief. So that's the reason why we got, Annabelle, as you know, Annabelle Uy, as you know, is a grief counselor. So she actually gave a lot of talks about managing, your health and grief and all that stuff, no? And then now, like just a few months ago, Kathy, working with the Rotaractors, and I don't know if you know Tita Tracy Season from Alabang, but she's like the guru of all the guardian counselors in the Philippines, no? So they created a program called Choose Kindness, which they launched in FBEST school, no? It was at the request of FBEST teachers, which is, as you know, our Rotaractors. And they said, we've had, so many bullying cases, both physical and verbal, and we want the kids to have a very strong sense of empathy and for them to know that, they should always choose kindness at the end of the day, show respect and things like that. So it was a very, very successful campaign. It didn't cost much. But they put a lot of thought. That's why they got Zobel. They wrote to Brother Bernie of Lasal Zobel and got the help of Tita Tracy Sison to help develop the program for the teachers in FBES. So that was a very good one. So in fact, I did a video for it because for this district conference this coming weekend, they wanted sample service projects. And of course, I offered Lagadlarin, but they said, oh, marami ng medical missions. But when I mentioned Choose Kindness, they got so excited about it because this year, the current president, can anybody say his name? Who's the president this year of Rotary International? Does anybody remember his name?
Gordon McInally.
Right. So Gordon McInally is a Scot. He's from
Nice.
Scotland. He's actually a dentist, I think, or a derma. I'm not sure. But his brother passed away from due to mental health concerns, which is why he decided that one of his focus this year would be on mental health. So anyway, so that's the reason why our Choose Kindness video is going to be shown during the service segment of the discon. So it's basically it, no? We never, well, peace building, yeah, peace building is actually kind of touches all, no? But the specific, as I mentioned, is the grief counseling and the anti-bullying campaign, no? Environment, we haven't done anything. I don't know with you guys, but maybe I'm not pressuring you guys, but maybe something for you to think about later on is, maybe you want to do something in the environment because environment has so many, it's so wide. I mean, there's cleaning the sea or the river or something like that. And then there's the zero waste part of it. And you know that we're number one in Asia or number 10 in the world in terms of plastic waste, no? Because of all our sari-sari mentality, wherein it's cheaper to sell a product in small components, although the manufacturer actually earns more, but they sell it in components like the tingi, no? The tingi thing, no? So we have so much waste, no? So there's that, and then there's so many things. There's tree planting, there's many things under environment. So that's one thing to think about, what you maybe at some point, not now, but at some point. And then community economic development is really livelihood, no? Personally, I wish we could do more for livelihood. It's just, we just need to think about it. But some clubs have been able to do programs like they pluck people, like supposing, kumare, who among us, what's a good example? Well, in this case kasi of this club, one of them works in a BPO. So you know what they did? They kind of got, they got from several barangays or cities. They got very good people. They got like 20 people. And then they went through a program to teach them how to work in a BPO. And then afterwards they had to interview the one that worked in the BPO, interviewed them, and I don't think they got all 20, but I think they got maybe at least half, maybe 50%, maybe 10 of them. So, it's good. They were able to get a good job, so something like that. And then maternal and child health is not something that we've really focused on, but this coming Rotary year, which is Governor Pressy, because her club, she's from Makati, Ayala Triangle. They've got OB-GYNs in their club, so their push right now is campaign for teenage pregnancy. I mean, they're not forcing anybody to do projects that's not really of their interest. But all that she's saying is that since I'm the governor now, I would appreciate it if you could do a project involving maternal and child health. In the same way that 2 years ago, it was Governor Georgie Tan, and she's a dentist. So that's the reason why she said, could you please, we have the worst teeth in Asia. Do you know that Filipinos share toothbrushes? Can you please have a dental project or dental component in any of your projects this year? So a lot of the clubs, responded favorably to that. And in our case, when we went to Lagadlarin, the first time we went to Lagadlarin, we actually brought almost 2,500 dental kits. We spent a lot. It was a lot because, one kit, we wanted to give one kit per family. So we gave them a big tube of toothpaste and we gave them about five. Well, the average family size is five, the two parents and the three kids. So we gave one each. So we said, this is five, no? Wag na kayo mag-share ng mga toothbrush, no? So the following year, that's what we continue doing in Lagadaring. I think we gave again last year a few dental kits, and then we continued. Then this time we had dental service, right? We had ANCOP brought 7 dentists there, no? So, there are ways that some of these things can be inserted in our other projects without having much additional work, no? I'm sorry about the livelihood, because our Lagadlarin pala, I forgot, has a livelihood component, no? So, who of you went to Lagadlarin this last time, last February? Who went? And if you get to go,
Yes,
who's that?
me, Anara, and
Yeah,
Albert.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you saw that we turned over some bangkas, no? Like what do you call that thing? The kayaks. We turned over
Yeah.
5 kayaks because there's a river there. There's a river beside the sea. So that's really for their livelihood. And then we donated in the past like a river boat, like a what they call a balsa, which is like a big, big,
Yes.
big nipahat that floats in the river. So that could be for company outings.
Mhm.
And then Leia's family donated also one relatively larger nipa hut, also for people to use when they do tours there. And then we also donated the treehouse. So yeah, so then yes, so we've done something in livelihood. But in terms of overall dollars or pesos, where most of our money went, most of the grants are focused on disease prevention, the cancer and the WOW, and then also in education. No? So that's basically it. Okay, so this is the bus. You've all seen this, no? The bus cost about 100,000 each, no? So we have two of that. The important thing here in the grant is that you have to turn it over to somebody afterwards. We're not experts in running cancer clinics or cancer buses, no? So we donated it to the Philippine Cancer Society, and they're the ones that maintains the bus afterwards, no? So just to let you know, this has been operating now for about a year and a half or maybe 2 years. Since that time, they've already screened 13,000 women and went on 400 plus missions. So this is, in fact, the district always says, this is the project that I really, really like. Because parang it's ulit-ulit, di ba? So we had the grant and then it just keeps, the cycle of giving just continues and continues because Rotary clubs are booking it left and right. Makati Rotary alone, with Mary B and her dad. Her dad is the number one pusher in his club for this cancer bus, no? So I think they've booked it, I think almost 20 times this year. So really amazing what Makati Rotary has done to support this particular project. So this is also I was mentioned, this is one of my favorite projects, no? It's also funded by a global grant, no? But bottom line is they went to Tondo, and of course they don't know anybody there, so they tied up with a local organization there in Tondo who found this 100 women and said, okay, these are the 100 candidates. Let's put them through TESDA. So they went through a 6-month program. And they came out of it. They took the test. They passed. So they became caregivers. So from doing nothing, making standby in Tondo, now they're certified caregivers, no? So I really love this story. So you're all familiar with TESDA naman, no? You guys have heard of TESDA. Anara, have you heard of TESDA?
Yes, it was funded under I think Letitia Shahani.
Yes,
Um,
yeah. So they continue it now. I'm not sure under what agency it is, but basically it's government owned and it's the training arm of the government. Okay, this one now is Las Piñas. It's just very short. I just wanted to show you that these are the other projects that others are doing. Again, I stole these slides from Mabel Esteban from the Global Grant seminar. No, so that's why the examples that I'm citing here are all relatively large because they're all grants, no, which is minimum $30,000. But anyway, just for you to have an idea, so this one is a prenatal clinic in the Hospital of Las Piñas. And then this one naman is this is Makati Ayala Amity. They actually got a mobile, galing, mobile dental van. Okay, which they donated to the Philippine Academy of Aesthetic Dentistry, no? So nice, oh. And then, yeah, so this is in partnership with this particular club, no? Okay, and then this is also naman Makati Olympia. Makati Olympia is a #1 club for water and sanitation. That's really been their thing from day one. So what does it mean? It's putting the faucets in the schools or fountains. And once they even had a project in Palawan where they brought water down from the mountains all the way up the mountains. I don't know how many, 4 kilometers down to the bayan and then distributed the water in the bayan. So that was a huge project. And some of them were, and they had to deal with IPs, the indigenous people. So, of course, you can imagine the IPs were not very happy about, pipes being laid down, huge pipes being laid down in their mountain, no? But at the end, they were convinced of the benefits of it, etc. So Makati Olympia has been the #1 for water and sanitation. And then this one now, they're doing it for the environment, no? So this is 20 hectares in Iloilo. Okay. So you'll probably wonder, how can these clubs do projects in Iloilo? How can people do projects in Palawan, even if they're not based there? And the reason for that is that in the case of Olympia, parang they have their mini satellite club. So they're in Manila, but they have like a group of members who are based in Iloilo, and they have a group of members that are based in Palawan. So that's how they do their projects, diba? Makes sense. They hire them there and then they have projects there. So they have somebody on the ground that can, monitor and can coordinate things, logistics and things like that, no? Okay, and then now we have this is another interesting project which was just approved just recently. Hi, hi. You eat na? Yeah. Okay, so this is very interesting. This is one of the newest, just approved a few months ago. Again, in response to the challenge about mental health and things like that. So this club, Muntinlupa Philinvest, is kind of known for one person there who's really a mental health practitioner. And so she developed this program to train teachers to be mental health responders. And it's very interesting because there's no such training like this ever. And it's a 6-month training program. I think they'll be getting some certificate or something. So as you can see here from the data, no, I mean, very few of the guidance officers are actually accredited, no. And so this is really, 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 really very interesting project. Okay, we're doing actually something. Actually, we've applied for something similar, but not mental health, but it's really for early childhood development. So Rina, Knowledge Channel is helping us develop that program. We would teach the early childhood development teachers or workers how to training them to teach the kids, no? Because as you know, from 0 to 3 or 0 to 4 or 0 to 5, that is when the brain is 90% of the development of the brain happens at that time. And yet, these people that are in the daycare centers of the government, they're just mothers, some of them are not even high school graduates. So how can you expect them to teach the kids, no? And they don't have the resources for teaching. Unfortunately, I don't know if you guys are aware, but in the Philippines, from grades and kinder to upwards, K to 12 is actually under DepEd, and the 0 to before kindergarten falls under the LGU. So what's called that? It's so there's nobody coordinating. Parang it's like it's up to you because it's all down in the level of the LGU. So if the LGU is not interested in early childhood development, sorry na lang yon, 'di ba? It's not like the high school or grade school that you've got depth and there who will make mando and say, okay, you gotta teach this and that, no? Here there's none. So kawawa naman the kids, no? So that's the project. We've already applied for a global grant. We've been waiting for approval. In fact, some of us in the club have agreed to donate for that particular project. No, so I think that's a $90,000 project, and we are hoping we are in partnership with Korea, the club which is our sister club in Korea that we met last November. JM, Eric, and myself, and Annabelle, we went to Korea, so we met those guys. So they're our partners in that grant. So, but it's similar to this in concept, wherein it's a 6-month training program also to teach this early childhood development workers. Okay, and then this one is this is interesting also. It's a free cataract removal. So this is a machine that they're donating to somewhere in Pangasinan. Okay, this is our bus. So who was there with us in last Saturday? I think Anara, you were there, right? So this is our WOW bus, no? So it's a truck. And then if you go inside, it's equipped with an X-ray machine, which we can't operate at this time because we're waiting for the FDA to finally give its approval. It's been 6 months and the approval hasn't come out yet. But it also has a ECG, which is the thing to check on the heart. And the beauty of it is that aside from the truck itself, we also bought tents, no? I mean, nice big tents. And the reason for that is because, when UNCOP, we donated it to CFC, Couples for Christ UNCOP, no? And when UNCOP goes out to certain areas or Rotarians want to book it in areas that don't have classrooms or whatever, then they can use these tents, no? Because we want to have ancillary services also. What does that mean? So when people want to use this truck or book this truck, you will have to have a checklist and say, okay, I want this, I want that, I want dental, I want circumcision, I want minor surgery, like cysts and stuff like that. I want to have a pharmacy. So all those, you need a place for that. So that's why we also bought tents, no? For the ancillary services. So basically, it's a one-stop medical mission. And when I was talking to the Rotarians that were there last Saturday who were from another club, they were saying, oh, okay na ito kasi you don't have to worry about anything. I said, yeah, precisely, because the UNCOP people, they're so organized and they're so familiar and they really handled all the logistics on the ground. So there was not much for everybody to do actually. They had their RCCs there, but it just ran, I think, relatively smoothly. In fact, there were probably more volunteers than was actually needed, but never mind. It was good to see everybody there, no? So now that we've turned it over to UNCOP, we would like to have Rotary clubs book the bus for their own adopted communities, no? So as I said, it's a one-stop shop basically, and so that's that. And so, now I wanted to talk about, what the priorities are for a new club. Okay. And I'm using the term your new club because this is my usual slides when I onboard for a new club. But, their priorities are not much different from you guys. And also, I don't know what you guys discussed during your strat plan the other day, but I think it's very important to agree on your why. Parang what do you guys want to achieve, no? And what do you want to be? You want to stay a satellite club for the next 5 years, or because actually, the satellite clubs you can actually stay as is forever, and then you just get, some of you over time just gets more assimilated into the main club, and then you bring in newer, younger people again. So it's just a continuous thing that can continue for as long as you want. But in some cases, although not very often, it's possible also that some of them spin off. They spin off their satellite club, and that it forms another club, no? The only limit or the only consideration there is that once the satellite club spins off, then that's gonna affect the numbers of our club because you guys are all counted in our numbers right now. So 20 of you or 21 of you are all in our numbers. So if you're gonna spin off, we would have to do it in such a way that, we would be building up on the same year so that, we don't lose 21 members right away in one shot, just like that, no? But anyway, that's in the future. But I just want you to know that your satellite club can end up in two ways. You can just continue as is in perpetuity or for the next so many years, or at some point, if that's what you guys want, and that's what the sponsoring club is also okay with, then you can be spun off into your own standalone Rotary Club, no? And so I think you discussed this the same thing, no? So it doesn't matter whether it's a new Rotary Club or a new satellite club. It's very important to engage the members right away, and and that could be done through, of course, fellowships and things like that, no? And then this is what is important also is to strengthen the value proposition. We want it to be sulit, no? I mean, you guys pay your dues, no? So we want to make sure that you get something out of your Rotary experience. Okay, so I know this is very hard to read, but I downloaded this afternoon, the Satellite Club guide, no, and I can send this to you afterwards. But what this just says is that basically, you have your own board. You can hold your own meetings whenever you want, as frequently as you want, and you can do things on your own. But it's also good to have it will strengthen your club and it will strengthen also our club if we have more joint things together as well, no? And I think what I gathered from your meeting, from your strat plan, is that you agree that there's a lot more interaction between the main club and the satellite club in terms of mentoring, maybe on a personal basis or even in terms of joining some of the committees just for you to have an idea what we do and things like that, no? So I really wanted to show you this part here of the slide, which says you are not a substandard form of a Rotary Club. All Satellite Club members are Rotarians. So you're the same as all of us, the Rotarians. You're not Rotaract. And it is a separate club, but at the same time, you have the independence of meeting when you want, but at the same time, you have the benefit of being part of our baby, part of our main club. And so we have found that well, at least in some clubs, no, it strengthens their club to have a satellite club. So just like us, the reason why this idea of the satellite club came about, do you guys know? Was it explained to you why we started this club? The reason for that is because, as you know, most of us are classmates, So in 2020, all of us turned, a certain, we all turned 60, between the Lasallians and the Assumptionistas. We were maybe 75% of the club turned 60. So we said we really need to have younger people into the club. But we said, but we don't want them to get bored with our rituals. We don't want to get bored with our ceremonias or our talk. We want them to be able to do their own thing. And so that's how the satellite club was formed, of the next gen, no? And JM has really, really pushed, for it to grow as it has. And in fact, I was at the governor's visit the other last week. Governor Jay was presenting to Makati Rotary, and it was part of his governor's visit. And one of the things that he mentioned was, you guys, maybe you should think of doing a satellite club, like RC Makati Premier District, So it's you guys are an example in this district of what, how you can marry young people into an older club, no? And maybe in the case of Alabang, how you can marry having women in the same club but still keep them separate, So for me, the satellite club is a very, very good solution to address, growth in a club, no? And I remember, do you guys remember that last year we had our club recognition night in Polo Club? Who were you guys there? This is the one, it was in Last Chucker. Do you guys remember that? Were you there? I think Enzo, you were there, right? And Louis. Um, who else was there, ba? Anyway, there's quite a few of you there, and and one thing that some of the members said was that, wow, I like the vibes of the club. I love it that the satellite club members are here. They're youth. It's quite exciting, and it's just new blood. So anyway, we're very glad to have you all as part of our satellite club. And then here, I just cited here, this is some of the best practices, no? This is from the guide, no? And I didn't anymore highlight the things that we are already doing. Like, for instance, creating a committee in the sponsor club that focuses on supporting the satellite club. In this case, that it's JM, it's Eric, and it's also Leia. No, Leia has been really instrumental in helping all our groups, no, the extended Rotary family, not just the satellite club, but also the RCC, even the Rotaractors and things like that, no. So that's ongoing, and then this one also encouraging you to attend our Rotary events to expand your networks and learn more about what Rotary does. So I'm so glad to see some of you attend our club meetings or even joining some of the district events, no. So I hope you don't get bored by all of that, and that it's interesting for you. And then, so I just wanted to highlight these things in box, which I thought maybe we can think about whether you want to do it, no? Is having a member of the sponsor club attend your satellite club meetings for the first year. So anyway, we're gone past the first year already, but for some of your meetings, maybe you might want to have somebody from the sponsor club attend, no? So maybe if it's the president is Eric, the next president, so maybe you might want to ask Eric to attend, or even the next head of the membership committee to also attend, no? So it's up to you. Okay. And then it would be good to have official joint meetings on a quarterly basis. So, that's this one here. So maybe we could, right now, it's like it's our club meeting. And, oh, please, satellite club guys, if you want to attend, you attend. But what this one is a little bit different, wherein we were saying is that you really have joint meetings now on a quarterly basis. So you guys would run the meetings just as much as we would. Okay. And maybe inviting the chair of the satellite club, to attend board meetings of the sponsor club. I mean, I've not discussed this I don't know if this came up. Anara, did this come out in your discussion the other day?
The Yes, we didn't put it quite as succinctly as this, but I think
Mm,
people had a similar idea.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, these are just thoughts, no? I mean, we don't have to do it, but there is some benefit to it, no? So, in having that there. Okay, so I think you know all of this already. Basically, of course, it helps a lot that to catch everybody's interests, that you have a survey and find out what people are interested in, and also what kind of speakers do you want to listen to, no? So I don't know. I know you guys probably don't want the formal meetings, but have you ever thought of having classification talks among yourselves? Like, for instance, you've got both Shantris and Mandy that are data scientists. So maybe they can talk one day, make them both talk about data science and what things are. Then maybe Anara, you can talk about what you're doing for, in your family company. And then, we can have, Louie and Renzo talk about tax and accounting and stuff like that. So just imagine among all of you, like, Justin can talk about, film and whatnot. No, so there's so many things that you guys, in fact, I find your group is so eclectic. It's I want to attend your meetings, frankly. Like, I want to listen to Aisha talk about, what she does for her family. I know they do FX trading at the same time. They also have storage and whatnot, and Sophia has other stuff. So there's so much to learn from everybody, So I think that's something that you guys can probably think about. Okay. Okay. So here this is kind of obvious already about making a little bit some of the plans, like what do you want to be 3 years from now. And I think this is very important, is to aim to be the club that your members want it to be. So that's why it's important. Okay, you had your strat plan. There were 6 of you. You had the officers there, but it's good to also, when you have the chance and you have more fellowships with them and you get to know the other members also, that you can get to, find out from them, oh, what do you want, ba? What do you want our club to be? Then you can develop it, you can refine what you discussed during the strat plan, no?
Yes, I agree. I would
Yeah,
love to
di
learn more
ba?
about it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also here, I just wanted to show you this because this is kind of like how we started the club. Like the first year, though, which is led by Carol, we didn't do much. We just basically, what was important was just that we get it running. At that time, we kept losing our club secretary. I mean, our IV, the IV at that time, no. So we lost. I don't know. We had so much turnover, and then we barely met, or the meetings were like last minute. So it was so disorganized and everything, But fine. That's our birth pains, no. So that's why when it was my year, I said, okay, what I want is that I want to make sure that we have money because there was no fundraising done on year one. So I said, I want to make sure we have our fundraising. So we did our club's first fundraiser during my year. And we said we want to get everybody a little bit more rotarized. Let's get our secretariat fixed up, and then let's work on our projects. That's where we started doing our projects more sustainably in FBES, no? And then et cetera, no? So different priorities. So we just build on each other, no? So it's just good to have this as a rough guide, no? Okay. So, you'll always hear this say it, but I wonder if most even Rotary clubs know what this is all about. We want to change the mode of thinking, no? Like for instance, I'll just give the example of Makati Rotary, but don't quote me, okay? They're obviously, the number one club. I mean, they have so much money and their members are all mostly CEOs, no? But their attitude is something like, hey, I'm Makati Rotary. If you want to join my club, you kind of have to adjust to what our club is. This is our vibe. This is how our club does things. So this is how you just have to live with us. That's kind of the traditional thinking. But then now more and more, Rotary is saying that, we're losing members left and right. We can't continue having that attitude. Now we have to change that attitude and say, oh, sige, your member, just imagine that your members are your customers. Okay, and they're buying your product. Your product is the Rotary in the club. What would make them buy you? Di ba? Parang that's the way they want us to start thinking. But most clubs don't think that way. That's why even when I give my onboarding, when I give all my talks, and I give my talks on strengthening clubs in the district, I always tell the clubs, sulit ka ba? Even like Makati, there's 50 clubs in Makati. Why will they join your club? What's so unique about your club that will make people want to stay with you rather than join another club? Diba? There's 48 clubs in Makati. Imagine, and in BGC, there's, I don't know how many, mga 10 siguro, 10 clubs. And Parañaque has been suffering. Their clubs are dying, and they're dying because they don't want to change. So that's why this is what I keep telling them, no? So I'm just putting it here because we need to also think that way. So look at our satellite club members, what do they want? They're the customer. What's the product that you want to offer them, no? Okay, so now we get into what's in it for you. Okay. So basically we know what Rotary does. It does good in the world. And Rotary has spent almost $4 billion to these projects all over the world. It has really changed lives, no? I don't know if you guys have considered these fellowships, no? But I would be very happy to give you guys the list of Rotary fellowships. What are these? These are people that are connected worldwide who have the same hobbies and the same sports or vocations, no? And they make friends. Like I'm a member of the gourmet. I love to cook, I love to entertain. So I joined the Rotary Fellowship for Gourmet something something. So I got my thing. I paid I don't know how much, $10 or $5 or something. And they mailed me a pen and they mailed me an apron, a Rotary apron. So cute naman. So here there's things like scuba. So imagine if any of you is into scuba, you can be talking in your chat about where in the world is the best place to go scuba diving, You can talk about what we do in the Philippines. So there's also clubs for golf. There's an international fellowship for golf, although I know the members here are mostly oldies, no? Like I remember my dad was a member of that golf fellowship, and he would play with Rotarians around the world. He played in Maui. He even played in Switzerland, in Crans-Soucier, which is where they're having right now the Rotary Fellowship this year is in actually Cran Montana in Switzerland. So and then they have tennis, they have surfing, canoeing, bird watching. Anyway, anything that you can think of that you might be interested in, it's here. Educators, internet, cycling, jazz, chess, photographers, lawyers, whatever, wine. So that's all there. So it's just a matter of tapping them. So I can send you the link for that. And I think that would be really good. And and then they even have the LGBT group, no? In fact, one of the past presidents of San Lorenzo is actually a director of the LGBT fellowship. So we're actually trying to form, a club for LGBT. Not that, well, it's to benefit the LGBT, but the members don't necessarily have to be LGBT, no. But anyway, that's being, it's just being very inclusive, no? So here, this is a sample of how it feels to be in a Rotary convention. I know, Justin, you're going with your dad, and I think who's going with JM? Is it you? Is it you, Louie?
I'm going,
You're
tita.
going, Lorenzo. Okay, you'll enjoy it. For me,
Um,
the most touching thing is the opening ceremony because you have 200 flags there making marcha entering. It's like the United Nations, no? So everybody's there. Of course, when they call Philippines, they were all shouting, for Philippines. And then, yeah, so this is fun. This is in Hamburg. I think a couple of years ago. So this is Hamburg. I went to Toronto also. So you meet everybody, like these are guys from Nigeria, they're dressed like that, this guy is the four-way test Superman guy. So anyway, it's fun because throughout the convention, then you get to meet people, sometimes sit, how it is in your Rotarians, when you sit down in a table, even if you don't know them, you just strike a conversation and that's it. And that's how sometimes things start. I know some people got their sister club just like that. Just by sitting down in a convention, bumping into somebody, meeting them, getting to talk, and then that was it. So so I think, in summary, I think, what's good about our membership, which is what we want to highlight, is that, of course, we want to make a difference. And the reason why you're all here is because you want to make a difference. You also want to connect with others who have the same mind as you, whether locally or abroad, the other clubs, there are, yeah, other young people in other clubs. And it connects you also with different kinds of professionals, doctors and environmentalists and dentists and accountants or whatever who have the same drive as you to give back. And of course, lifelong friendships. I mean, as I told you, my dad was a Rotarian for many years, and when he passed away, I was getting messages from everywhere around the world, from people who had known him through the years, no? And of course, leadership development is very important for you guys. So I don't know, I think you also discussed this, Anara, in terms of any needs or that you guys want in terms of leadership development activities.
Yes, specifically, my plan for the Rotary for next year, should I be on the board, would be to connect each member with someone they have something in common with, be
Mm,
that an interest or an job area, like
mm,
classification, or in the
mm.
case of the committee,
Yeah,
matching like the treasurer to the treasurer in the mother club, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's good. That's good. Because we want to learn from you, and we would like you to also learn from us to the extent that you can learn anything from us. Okay, and I just wanted to share this with you. This is actually a project of Makati Rotary. Okay, it's actually named after my dad, but that's beside the point. The reason why I wanted to share this with you is because it was just so exciting to be part of this process of searching for these people. And this is going to be done. Unfortunately, they can't do it every year because it costs a lot to do it, but they'll be doing it in 2 years' time. In 2 years' time is when Makati Rotary is turning 60. So right now it's a 58-year-old club and they're turning 60. So they want to do this again on this on in 2 years from now. So I just wanted to share with you how inspiring these four people were. No, these are the winners. Okay, so there were 10 finalists. The way it worked out is that there's 10 districts in the Philippines, right? So each one chose its own finalist. Unfortunately, our 3830 finalists actually placed a very close fourth place after this person, after Amina. But didn't make it to the top three. But the stories are so interesting. So let me just share with you. So this guy, Joaquim, he's actually from Ilocos, okay? And what he does is to show you how he thinks, no? What he does is he wanted to collect pet bottles, okay? But he didn't want it to end there. Usually that's the thing, a clean up, which is also obviously good, but they went one step further by doing various things. So what did they do? So he tied up with companies, he tied up with the schools to bring the pet bottles, no, to a certain area. And then the pet bottles were sorted out and they were made into, number one, they were made into a boat. Can you imagine a boat made of pet bottles? Okay, so that was interesting. And then secondly is that they made a vest, a life vest made out of the pet. Okay, and the third thing is they also created a fish cage, to the fish, a fish cage also based on the pet bottles. So obviously it's so interesting because they were able to recycle it, and secondly, they were also able to create jobs because the women who did the life vest and the ones who did the fish cage were also fishermen. So it was such a nice story. That's why we were all unanimous in making this guy the number one because he didn't stop at just collecting bottles. He went one step further, created jobs pa. Then at the same time, when he goes all around, he advocates pa for it. So he spreads awareness and things like that. So a very, very good story. Okay, the Sam Madriaga is also excellent, interesting story. So he's an occupational therapist, no? I don't know why, but there seems to be a lot of occupational therapists from San Pablo City, Laguna. Okay, because as Anara knows, we were looking at a couple of them, so that we, our club, could actually submit a nomination as well, no? So we talked to this guy, Sam Madriaga, he won, you know why? Because he's young, right? So he was able to it was like a youth movement that he put together to get everybody excited about doing something about the public health system in San Pablo, Laguna. So, I mean, very macro, no, the way he thinks, no, in terms of these are the things that we want to happen on the public health side. They wrote to the whatever the mayor, in charge, and then met with the people handling health and said, this is what we want, blah, blah, blah. And then they created an information campaign, not just among internet users, but even the people that with no access to the internet, like the what do you call that? The driver, the tricycle driver, the taxi drivers, and ganun, had no access to internet. In terms of educating them about COVID and about making sure that they went out there for their vaccines, because we take it for granted, but there these people have their own biases. Like my maid, I couldn't even convince my maid to get to get vaccinated. My cook, her mind is so hard-headed. She's all set against sabi mamamatay daw ako kung mag-vaccine siya. So that's how they think, in the provinces. So that's what Sam was had to fight against in San Pablo, Laguna, convincing these people to get vaccinated. So what happened was that San Pablo, Laguna had the highest vaccination rate in the whole of Laguna, number one. Number two, now that COVID is gone already, he's using that same organization to now develop an app that will provide information on teenage pregnancy. Because they need these people are not educated and not so educated. They're so jahe to go to the doctor and ask about things, so he's putting it into an app. So anyway, that's why he won the second place. And then the third place is Amina, who basically was focusing on microfarms. She's based in Mindanao, in Zamboanga. And she worked, with other people in terms of converting certain idle lands and just having a plant-based diet or making sure that people are aware of, all of these things. So a very good project as well. So anyway, Ronaldine was the special award because she actually lives in Payatas. Okay, you guys know Payatas, right? It's the dump site of the basura. So she used to be a beneficiary, that she was receiving handouts, and stuff like that in Payatas. And what did she do? She bettered herself. She went to school, graduated, and then she's giving back now to the same people in Payatas. She joined an NGO that is focused on Payatas, and she developed the sports program there. She's actually a football player. So she put up, she's a teaching a sports clinic for football, and I think basketball also, no. So although she was not even a close fourth place, but it really hit the heart of the judges, and so we gave her a special award for that. So anyway, I just wanted to share you these stories because these are the kinds of people that you could get exposed with also when you get yourself involved in some of these projects like this search, no. So you get to meet and know more about these kinds of things. Okay, so expectation. So this is the standard slide that I have, play your juice, and, as they say, share your TTT, which is time, treasure, and talent, no? And but it's true. No, like some of you, there was a time before when we never even had a CPA. Now we have a bookkeeper and everything, no. But there was a time in the early years we didn't have any bookkeeper. I was the one doing the books. And I'm not even a CPA. I'm just a finance person, like economics person. But so it's very important to be able to use your skills, just like Annabelle is using her skills, no, in terms of the grief counseling. The same way that Leia is so good in project management, no, and strat planning. And so that's really her forte, and digital marketing. So that's what she's using in Rotary, So Rena's using her vocation, So everybody's using it. So this is how we want, ideally, that we would find a use or a project for any of your vocations that could be used to help others, no? Okay, so how do you starting a Rotary journey? You're already in your first year, no? But um, I think this is important. I don't know how many of you here already has a My Rotary account? Anybody? Nobody?
I think I
Okay.
have,
Huh?
Tito.
Yeah.
Same. I think me too.
Yeah. So anyway, I have a list of all the club members who have an account. So, but anyway, just open an account. You just sign up. There's no cost involved, and I know sometimes you don't like these kinds of lectures, and stuff like that. So if you're the kind of person that thrives on self learning or whatever, you can just do it at your own free time. There's actually a lot of learning modules there, that all the stuff that I talked to you about now, about the areas of focus and all that stuff, it's actually all there. And so some people like that because they can do it at their own time. In fact, in the district, they call me, I'm the librarian now, because I'm the one that reads up on all of this stuff, and then I know what's happening in the world because I read a lot of YouTube or whatever, things that strike me as interesting. And so I get to share that with the district and with the clubs and stuff like that. So I'm called the librarian. Um, so yun, and then, okay, find out. So again, this is the standard slide for a typical club, not satellite club, but it's the same concept, no, you find out about what each club committees are, and I don't know if you got what you guys decided. Did you plan to form your own committees also, or you'll just make it more laissez-faire, or more project driven? Did you guys agree on that, Anara?
We decided on making a specific like fellowship chair.
Okay.
Since that's our focus, and I think maybe a social media
Mm-hmm.
person to be in
Okay.
the account.
Okay.
That's so.
Yeah, you don't
Oh
have
yeah, I
to.
think we community service, a
Mm-hmm.
service chair, like
Mm-hmm.
at least three, but only as many as necessary. That's
Yeah.
not to say other people can't be the lead when,
Yeah.
or they could be the head of the project later on.
Yeah, and the service committee, again, for me, I see that role as not just planning, but just getting ideas from wherever, di ba? Things, there are some projects that if one kunwari would have the thing to explore the Rotary website. They say, "Hoy, these people, they're doing this thing in the world, somewhere in South America, simple lang, baka we can do something like that also." It's not just it's just that you have somebody as the focal person for service, not necessarily, having to work on a project itself, but at least be your main information resource, no? So yeah, and, join a district fellowship or sports event. I don't know if you guys are interested, but I think next Rotary year there's going to be a pickleball event of Rotary. Now the golf, now it's so nice to see, Louis and Renzo joining the other district golf events. But last year they even had hang gliding and fishing, So anyway, there's be a host of other things which will be announced in due course. And then yeah, so join the online courses also. But at the end of the day, I really want to see you guys have fun, enjoy being with each other. That's kind of what brings us together, no? So like our club now, excluding the satellite club, we're about 40 something. Half of them sometimes we don't even see. We know they're there, but we don't see them. But they come. They don't like maybe to attend meetings, but community service project nandyan. Diba? Or if it's Christmas, they'll come. So like that. Some people, they just space themselves. They're busy. They're like Ludette, for instance, she lives in Lipa. So we can't expect her to be joining every meeting here in Manila. Diba? But if there's a project in Lagadlarin, she's there. And then Christmas, she's also there. No? So like Sunshine lives part of the year in Europe. She's married to an Italian. I know she lives part of the year in Pasiano in Italy. So it's summer now in Italy. So we don't expect to see her for the next few months. No? So ganyan lang, So you find a place where, where at your own pace. No? I think that's what's important. So here, I'm just saying here that at some point it would be good to aim, no, to move from being a member of Rotary, quote unquote, to being a Rotarian. As they say, there's no such thing as an instant Rotarian. You don't have to learn everything on day one, and don't feel pressured as officers of the satellite that you have to know everything. I just take your time. If you don't know anything, just check with us. I mean, just imagine us also. When our club was formed, okay, the only Rotarian, we were 25, right? The only Rotarian there was Carol. So there were some ex-Rotarians there like Ravi and I think JM also, but they had not really attended a Rotary meeting in like 10 years. And like me, my dad, but I have never been a member myself, no? So we were all just members of Rotary. We didn't really know what we were doing. But then over time, it just gets imbibed in you. You get into things, like JM. I mean, what do you think about your dad, Renzo and Louis? Parang me, I got gulat. I mean, he's really enjoying being with his classmates. Like now he's being yeah, first of course the golf helps a lot, and then now he'll be singing in the band in the discon. I mean, it's masaya din, no? No, but so that's part of it. Okay, so that's my last slide. So now let's just keep it open for any questions that any of you might have. So Nikki pala was here, no, but she left. She goes, yeah, just another work call. Okay, yeah.
I think what I think we struggle with is how we remain flexible with our members' time, yet also encourage them to participate in the things they want to participate in. Two-part question.
Yeah, I think you need to build. I mean, we were assuming that you all kind of knew each other, but it's just like I think, but partly not, no. It's different pockets know each other, but not as a whole group, no. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So you discussed about holding some fellowships together. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, Louis and Renzo, since you were not there in the strat plan.
Hello. My thoughts there is that yeah, maybe we need like one event where like all of us, because remember, Tita, in the induction, like
Mm-mm.
we were all there. And then also, Tita, in the oath taking or installation of my dad as president, we
Yeah.
were all there. So parang
Mm-mm.
those are the times when personally I met like most of the the next gen, and I
Yeah.
was able to make connections with them. So perhaps maybe Tito Eric's induction, or um yeah, Tito Eric's induction, like I'll be there
Mm-mm.
hopefully. So that's where
Yeah.
I normally meet
Yeah.
in the
I think
big
there'll be
events
two.
sometimes,
I
the
think
big
there'll be
events.
two. I think there'll be two upcoming events. One is the club recognition night. That is where
Ayun,
we had it
yeah,
last year in ano in what do you call that?
last chapter.
Yeah, in Last Chucker. That's the one that some of you attended. I think you were there, so I'm sure you guys will be invited again to go there. So that's one. That's gonna be, I think, somewhere in June. I think they're still setting the date. And then the one of Eric's induction will be July 4. So I don't know how far he's gonna I know his invites, but we'll mention it to him that it's a good opportunity. But then maybe also I'm thinking maybe we could have also some get together, maybe in my house or somebody's house, here lang, and have it in the house, just all the next gens together. Pwede rin yun, di ba? Like I don't know about Marisa, if Alan. Do you know if Alan is here or is he abroad? Alan Sisip? Does anybody
Oh,
know?
see, I'm not
A-
sure. Um,
Yeah, you're coming out putol.
Alex is a
Alex is abroad.
Alex. Yeah, with Sophia right now, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Because Sophia's family has a place in Spain, their golden visa. So I think the parents, I kind of know the parents because how funny in a small world. The dad of Sophia is actually my classmate president. So when I was president of Rotary in 2018-19, her dad was also president of his club. So I never even made the connection until just a few months ago that she was the daughter pala. So anyway, yeah, so maybe, but anyway, yeah, so that's one option, or maybe we can ask D. I know D's also traveling, so but anyway, we will make time. We'll find the time to maybe have host something in somebody's house, but it's just more informal. So maybe we can think of that. So if we already have the June club recognition night and we have the July induction of Eric, so how about something in August? Would that be good? Something sometime August, maybe. Mm-mm. So anyway, we can plan on that. Oo. Sige, what else pa? Any other questions or comments? Shantris, how about your impressions or comments? Haven't seen you in a bit. You there? So, how about you, Justin? Justin always attends or no? How about you, Justin? What do you think? What are you guys planning to do in Singapore, huh?
Uh, Honestly, we have like a lot of stuff because I haven't really registered for this. I'm gonna register for like one or two of the meetings and the dinners, but we have like a lot of other work.
Mm,
We have a lot of other work to do. We have a crew and we have other business meetings for other stuff. So
mm.
yeah, it's pretty packed, but I want to see you guys, whoever's there from Rotary, spend some time and
Yeah.
really explore Singapore and have fun. So it's very exciting.
I might even see you guys there. I really had not planned to go, but my brother is actually gonna get operated on, so I might also be there. When I had my knee operation, my
Yeah.
siblings were all there. So now that it's my brother that needs to be operated on, all of us are going also. So we're gonna be there last week of no, last week of May, like 27, 28. Isn't that the same time as the convention? So parang the same. Anyway, I might be there. So
25 to 29 for the
huh?
convention.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think
So
the
I might be
convention
there at the same time.
29.
So anyway, let's plan on having dinner or something together. That'd be
Yeah. And if you want, we can even interview you podcast pa, you know?
yeah, yeah,
You can tell your story or something like that. It'd be very exciting for the
yeah,
world. And then beautiful
yeah,
scenery, Singapore. It's a nice
yeah.
place.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, we were there for 3 weeks so for my knee, and it was nice because Rina, and their friends, no, I mean Rina, Corina, and the D, they visited me there on my second week, no, so that was nice. I had my family my first week, and the second week I had them, no, so those are lifelong friends. They're there, so it's great. Yeah,
That's good to have the company. A lot of people they in street interviews they say, oh, like at 70, 80, 90 years old, they're like the thing they regret the most is more adventuring, it's more time with family, more time, less time worrying,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
appreciating the company.
Life is short,
Yeah.
I just saw now that there was this Rotarian who died, 48 years old. He had a heart attack playing basketball. He just had a heart
Wow.
attack. And then there's this other person. I just saw it. It was posted in the Sanlo Viber. Now this guy was
Actually,
playing. There was a reunion. I think it was a class reunion, and then they're playing basketball. And he had a heart attack also. Imagine 40 something lang. So
yeah,
let's
that's
enjoy. Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. You never know when our time is coming, and like it could be for anybody, talaga. Even for me, like, it
Yeah.
could be tomorrow.
Yeah.
This age of 20. But like I want to say that one of the best ways to live the longest, like the athletes that live the longest, aren't the ones that are like sporty. They do a lot of sports. They eat healthy. Like a lot of these people, they actually have heart attacks at like 50, 40, if you
Mm,
notice. And
mm-mm.
the reason why is because they have so much type 1 muscle fibers from
Mm,
like cardio and so much cardio sports. They really haven't built the muscle building, the balance of muscle and the balance of just cardio. So like those people, like they tend to live longer. Or if you look at blue zones, they have
mm,
like the most centenarians because they eat healthy, they go on hikes, they're part of the community. So like they have purpose and then they just do a lot. So
mm,
that's the best way to live actually, longest.
mm. Okay, Albert, any impressions? Albert, are you there?
So far none.
Mm-mm. Okay. Anything else you want to say, Renzo or Louis?
Um, nothing much for me, Tita. Just wanna say thank you for
Yeah.
the session today. We learned so much.
Mm-mm.
Thank
Okay,
you,
and
Tito.
anytime you need anything, if you need the código of all the acronyms of all these mga this código, everybody's asking for that código because they say, what the hell is TGP? What is this? What is that? What is PDG? What is anyway? I don't know if somebody's putting together one, but maybe in my spare time, I might think of doing one for everybody. Yeah. Okay. And then Anara, anything else you want before we end? And I'm glad
Um,
we finally had this onboarding. We're a bit delayed. We should have done this months
yes,
ago. But
only
anyway, let's do it now for the new ones. And that those that were not here, yeah, let them listen to the video. Or if you want to have another session, I'm happy to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
um nothing else other than Chantrice, do you have anything to say?
No questions from me. Thank you for your presentation, Tita.
Yes, you're welcome. And I really want to listen to you and Mandy talk about data science. And I think that's
Oh,
one way for you to get together. You can have your respective classification talks. I think it'll be
yeah.
very interesting hearing from each other. And one thing I learned is that don't make it all about what you do. Because our club is now 7 years. But the one classification talk that I remember, after all these 7 years, is the talk of Ravi Daryanani. You know why? He didn't talk about Canadian. I mean, of course, he talked about Canadian and what she does and everything, but it was more his kwento. It was more about his leadership journey, like he was making kwento what being in Lasal, then his dad would pull him not to go to this mga trips abroad, to meet with buyers and to buy the cotton and to buy the like this and like that. So it was so interesting, and that's why I still remember. I might not remember everything, but among all the classification talks that I've heard in the last 7 years, his is the one that I always remember. So when you have your own classification talks, first of all, number one, invite us. Number two, have a go of parang like how to go about doing it. We have our own in the club that we use now, but I think it's too long. Some people are classification are reaching 1 hour. That's too long. It should only be 15-20 minutes, no? So the Dawn of Jackie Bongkan, Jackie Derry, her classification talk was also very good because again, she mixed what she did professionally with her life story and things like that. So anyway, just a thought for you guys. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, I'm always here anytime, I'm your club learning facilitator. So anytime that you have any questions, just feel free to ask me. And let's make it a habit already, Anara, Albert, that when there's a new member, let's make sure that we have the onboarding before and after also. We can have a different program for the before as compared to the after. Oo, sige. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Tita.
Okay, good
Thank you,
night.
Tita.
Have a nice weekend.